So this is a review video for busing and sends. This is kind of new, kind of exciting, but what we have on the screen right now is a session Miranda did for Shark Tank Pub. So let's go through it track by track. We've got a little insert comedy voice, Miranda's main announcer voice. We've got Greg doing the loyalist attendance policies tag on the end. And here we have a Thursday update. So the spot that says Thursday night, we play this part, and because we've got this muted, this is the tonight only. Scrolling down, we've got intro music, the main music bed and the main music end, a transition effect to get into it, and a little crowd sound effect. So let's play this all the way through.
Things you could be doing Thursday night. Sitting at home with little faces drawn on your fingers, pretending you're having the most fabulous of all parties.
I'm not lonely anymore.
Or you could head on down to the Shark Tank Pub for the LED Club Night, where you can enjoy the light shows, colors, and the special effects while dancing to music and winning prizes throughout the night. Doors open at 9 p.m., so be sure to get there early.
Shark Tank events are restricted to loyalist students and signed-in guests. For admittance policies, go to loyaliststudents.com.
So that's a nice sounding spot. Everything looks great. But there's a trick I can show you to make it even easier, and it all takes place in the mixer. So here's Miranda. So there's the Jordan voice, Greg, Miranda main, Thursday, and tonight. And look, she's got the same effect on everything. So she gets it set once and she has to copy it and copy it and copy it. So with graphic EQ, she's got to go in and put all these numbers in every time. There's a better way, and it's really cool. So the first thing I want to do is turn off the effects on the voices. But you're saying there's no EQ, there's no compressor. Aha, I'm getting there. Watch. The output of each track is set to master, which means the output of every track in the mixer goes to the master fader, which is what we want. What if we changed that and said, no, I'm going to add a bus? And just like getting on the transit bus, when you add a bus, everybody gets on and goes to the same place. So Greg's voice goes to the bus. Miranda's main announcer voice goes to the bus. Thursday goes to the bus, and tonight goes to the bus. So instead of doing all these effects over and over, now we can just do them once on the bus. So we'll add our EQ, and she had complementary EQ going. So we went down on all the low frequencies and up on the high frequencies. So we have to set this up once instead of 4 times. Same with her compressor. We'll just set that up once as opposed to setting it up 4 times. Now you can still mix all these voice parts. They still have their own individual volume controls. It's just as they come out of this channel, instead of going to the master fader over here, it goes to the bus. So it's all controlled through this one new fader. So if we go back to the session, cursor back to the beginning, back to the mixer.
Things you could be doing Thursday with little faces drawn on your fingers, pretending you're having the most fabulous of all parties.
I'm not lonely anymore.
Or you could head on down to the Shark Tank Pub for the LED Club Night, where you can enjoy the light shows, colors, and the special effects while dancing to music and winning prizes throughout the night.
So now all the voices, all Miranda's voices and Greg's announcer tag are all controlled through this one fader. You don't have to set up all this. So we can turn that, make sure that's all completely off. All this can disappear. We don't need it anymore. Okay, busing. Instead of doing things multiple times, send it to its own location, in this case bus A, and just do it once. It'll speed up your workflow. But that's not all we can do with busing. The next thing on busing is actually called sending. So it's like taking a second output of something to do something in parallel. Okay, if I want to add a delay, so if I put a delay on this, every voice on that bus is going to go through the delay. If I added a different EQ, every voice on that bus is going to go through the EQ, and I don't want that. So I'm going to have no delay there. But what if I wanted a delay? What if I wanted to put a different EQ that didn't really affect the original? Well, let me close the effects for a minute and open up sends. So send is like a parallel output. We've got the main output of bus A going to the master, but we can set up a second output for each channel. And in this case, bus B is the new one. And here we'll just add the volume going to that new bus. We can also add pan if we need it. Okay? So all the voices, all Miranda's voices go to bus A, and they're all controlled by this. Bus A goes to master. But with sends that we've turned on, sends also has a parallel output from bus A to bus B. Okay. Now we'll close that, but we can still see it's on because the power is on. So we'll turn on the effects on sends. And what we're going to do is we're going to add our delay. But, and this is where it gets really cool, we don't need the dry out. And remember, in your delays, the dry out is the original sound. All we have here is wet out, or the echoes. Okay? So all the voices go to bus A goes to master. But in parallel, we're sending bus A to bus B, where we've put a delay on here. And the delay has just the wet out, no dry. So it's just going to be the echo. Now we're going to add a filter on our echoes. And I'll change this so it sounds very alt-rock radio voice. And then let's listen to this in solo.
Doors open at 9 p.m., so be sure to get there early.
Shark Tank events are restricted to Loyalist students and signed-in guests. For admittance policies, go to loyaliststudents.com.
So I don't know if you're picking that up, but let me go through this. So just listening on solo, we've got all the voices going to the bus. So that's the main voice sound. I added the echo and then put a filter on the echo, and I took the dry out. So all that goes through the this really strange, really alt radio filter is just the echo. The dry voice stays the same. So this in parallel, we can do completely differently.
Things you could be doing Thursday night. Sitting at home with little faces drawn on your fingers, pretending you're having the most fabulous of all parties. Or you could head on down to the Shark Tank pub for the LED Club Night, where you can enjoy the light shows, colors, and the special effects while dancing to music and winning prizes throughout the night.
So the voices go to bus A, and that carries through completely clean. I'm not doing anything to those voices that Miranda hadn't already done in her session. Bus A goes to master. I'm not doing a thing with the dry voices. With the wet voices, I took a parallel out. I took a send from bus A to bus B, and then bus B goes to master. What I did in bus B was added an analog delay and took the dry out down to 0. So all that is in bus B is just the echoes. And then so you can hear them differently, I put a strange kind of filter on them that sounds kind of alt radio, kind of telephony. And then as I bring this up and down, I can bring just the echoes in and out. So I can do things in parallel that don't affect our original voice.
Doors open at 9 p.m., so be sure to get there early.
Shark Tank events are restricted to Loyalist students and signed-in guests. For admittance policies, go to loyaliststudents.com.
And that's called sending. It's a little more advanced than busing, but if you need to do something in parallel, you need your original voices to be there at all times, and you want to do some kind of strange voice effect on just parts, that's when you use sends.